Hi, welcome back to another episode of Do You Know What You Don't Know podcast. So for today's topic, we'll be talking about a child uneducated is a child lost. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, and why? Okay, so save your answers for later because in this podcast, we'll be discussing about how to overcome and examples for this issue. I'm so excited, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. I'm Nisrina.
And I'm Sue.
Hey, last night I was scrolling down my Twitter page and suddenly found an article about some issues related to children's education. I read through it and realized how I never knew that there are still children who suffer from those issues, like stateless children, child labor, and orphans. And I'm afraid some of our viewers still don't know about this topic either. Can you give them some insights about this issue?
Of course. Now, where do I start? Firstly, it is important for us to know that the causes and definitions of this issue. For example, statelessness among the children is often a direct result of their parents' stateless status, and actually there are approximately 1 million stateless people in our country currently.
What? I just knew about that. Okay, now what about child labor?
Meanwhile, for child labor, it is actually about the work which deprives the needs of the children until it affects their physical, mental, and health development.
And what about being an orphan? How does it affect child education?
Actually, there's no significant interrelation between orphan status per se and their cognitive development. But generally, orphans are less likely to be attending school, thus affecting their academic achievements.
Okay, now I'm more excited to dive into this topic. So, can you explain more about this reason, like why it happened and how to overcome this crisis?
I could, but I feel like it would be very boring to hear me talk about this for the whole day. How about we check out some interviews that we gathered from Taylor's University students?
Okay, that's a great idea. I can't wait to watch the interview.
Hi, I'm Simi. So right now I'm going to go interview some questions to the students in campus. Hi, can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
What's your name?
My name is Nandini.
I'm Anisha.
And I'm Hema.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you know about the educational crisis for children?
I think about 7 to 8.
I'd say about 8.
Maybe 7.5.
So, the three major factors that affect educational crisis for children are first, stateless children, child labor, and finally, orphans. So, among these three factors, which one do you think is the most common factor that affects this crisis worldwide?
I personally think it's orphan.
Yeah, same, often.
Yeah, orphan though.
The three major factors that affect educational crisis for children are stateless children, child labor, and orphans. So among these three factors, which one do you think is the most common factor that affects this crisis worldwide?
I personally think it's orphan.
I'd say same, often.
Yeah, orphan though.
Why do you think so?
I think because orphans, they don't get any support to actually study and have the education.
What do you think?
Yeah, often they do not have like people to guide them and push them to the right direction. So
Like some orphans, example in the homes or something like that, they are not like supported well financially, or they might have like mental health problems also because they are not supported well. Yeah.
How do you think this problem may affect the children?
They don't get proper education, so they probably don't have a proper career in future, so they may suffer in future.
Do you think this problem can be solved?
Yeah, sure. If there are volunteers or like NGOs that can actually donate and support them financially, so they probably can overcome this.
yeah, same thing. If they don't get education, then they won't really have like a bright future. So in the future, they might be jobless and all.
it's hard for them to reach higher in their future because they don't have enough education. Yeah.
So right now we're just going to interview some more people in campus. So let's go. Hi, can I ask you some questions about the children, stateless children?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you know about the educational crisis for children?
Probably like 5, 6, I guess.
So the second question is, the three major factors that affect educational crisis for children are stateless children, child labor, and orphans. So among these three factors, which one do you think is the most common factor that affects this crisis worldwide?
Probably like child labor, I guess, among those three.
Why do you think so?
Because the people who are making like children to work, they're like limiting them to get the good education. So they're working instead of studying. They're spending their time like doing something instead of like getting knowledge and stuff.
So how do you think this problem may affect the child?
If they continue like the child labor, right, they are going to go to the adult labor, so they're never getting like the good education and stuff. So that's how it affects them.
So do you think this problem can be solved?
I'm not sure if only like we could like hunt the people who are like making the children work, and who are trying to like get rid of them. That's how it would maybe help the children to like get out of this like problem. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, what's your name?
Thomas.
Okay, Thomas. May I ask you a few questions about the educational crisis?
Education crisis? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the first question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you know about the educational crisis for children?
1.
Okay. So there are three major factors that affect educational crisis for children, which are stateless children, child labor, and orphans. Okay. So among these three factors, which one do you think is the most common factor, and like how does this affect this crisis?
I think probably child labor is the most common. And how it affects? Or what do you mean by that actually?
I meant like, why do you think that child labor is the most common factor?
Because stateless children and orphans can be under child labor. Yeah, so I think child labor is the bigger one.
How do you think child labor will affect the children about their education?
Because they won't be able to go through like a more diverse childhood. So they're really working since young, and the work conditions are pretty bad, so I think it affects them like mentally and emotionally.
Do you think this problem can be solved, or is there any solution?
I think it can be better. To fully solve, I think it's very hard, and I think the government will have to get involved. Yeah.
What about any NGOs, or would that be a solution as well?
Yeah, that would definitely help. I'm not sure if it's I think the most important is the government. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now that the interview is over, let's get back to our podcast hosts, Nisrina and Sue.
Wow, I'm still amazed by the information that I gained today. How about you, Sue?
Oh, I am also very excited about it. So, Nisrina, can you give like a conclusion about the discussion that we had today to our viewers?
In my opinion, I can conclude that this topic is one of the most major issues that has been circulating in many countries. Even based on a survey that the students have conducted, the majority of the respondents have average understanding about this crisis. Presumably, we already heard about other serious matters like racism, poverty, and gender equality. But I think people should speak more about children's education through some campaigns because this is also a very important topic that should be taken seriously.
That's right. Even some NGOs in Malaysia like Sarawak Women for Women's Society, Borneo Comrade, and Development of Human Resources for Rural Areas have already taken some actions into helping them to give support to the children. However, 80% of the respondents haven't heard about any of these NGOs. So in my opinion, it is preferable to insert this topic inside the educational syllabus for the students in like high school or tertiary studies so that they can become more vigilant in this matter. So I'm sure that this action will give them a bigger exposure with the aim that they can spread this knowledge to raise awareness.
Yes, that's a great point of view.
Wait, I also just read on the internet that actually almost 260 million children globally are not in school even before COVID-19 struck every country.
What? I'm just hearing this for the first time. Regarding that, I really hope this episode can help to raise awareness and give some useful ideas to our viewers and help the development of the children's education system so that this crisis can be prevented for the sake of those precious kids. Let me remind you about the famous quote by Abraham Lincoln: "Teach the children so it will not be necessary to teach the adults."
You're absolutely right. I hope so too. Okay, with that, I think it's time to go now. Thank you so much for listening to Do You Know What You Don't Know? It's been a fun episode today, and don't forget to listen to our previous and next episodes. Till we meet again, everyone.
Have a nice day.
Bye!